welcome to Sunday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where we've got the return of one of my very favourite constructors today. This puzzle on screen is called Parity, and it's by Codec. So basically, with that, we already know this is going to be some sort of masterpiece. And I'll read you the rules in a moment, although I will note that this does seem to be some sort of crop key XV mashup, and that is exactly the subject of our new app that we are busy working on, and I'm also pleased to tell you that Codec is contributing puzzles to it, and he's already sent those to me, so I do need to go through those. So this ought to be a great teaser for what we've got in store. But what other news have I got? Well, the news continues on the Discord server regarding the alien that has surfaced and is very interested in logic. So the alien, I think, has been setting puzzles over on the Discord server. So if you want to know what's going on with that, get over there and join the countless other 1,000 people who inhabit the Discord server. It is really the most incredible puzzle community. Now, this evening, 10 o'clock UK time, I'm going to resume battle with The Witness, this computer game I've been trying to solve, is that the right expression? I've been trying to find my way through an incredible landscape full of puzzles. It's been most entertaining for me. I hope not too unentertaining for those of you who've joined me on the journey. And yeah, if you want to see me continue that battle, I may even have a guest. There may even be a guest again this evening. 10 o'clock UK time is when it all happens. And anything else to mention? Yes, Looney Tunes, which is our Patreon reward for September. We're getting loads and loads of answers all the time. You've got until the 20th of September to submit answers for that and be in with a chance of winning the merch. So highly recommend that. And I think that is all. I've got this horrible feeling. You know, you get a feeling sometimes when you've forgotten something. And I feel like I've forgotten something I was meant to say. I hope it's not somebody's birthday or something I've forgotten to mention. Maybe it'll come back to me. Let's just. That's not part of any puzzle either. That's just me being forgetful. Although I do have this horrible feeling I've been dreadfully forgetful there. So anyway, with this, let's get on to the rules of the puzzle. And I will hope to ignore this distracted feeling I now have in my body. It's called Parity, as I said. We've got normal Sudoku rules apply. Cells separated by a black dot contain digits in the ratio of 1 to 2. So that's normal crop key. That means on these black dots here, let's look at this one. Imagine this cell was a 2. This square would now have to either be a 4 or a 1 to ensure that these were in the ratio of 1 to 2, which basically means that one of the digits must be double the other one. Cells separated by a white dot contain consecutive digits. So let's look at that pair there. If this was a 6, this would have to be a 5 or a 7 to make sure it's consecutive with 6. That's how they work. Cells separated by an X contain digits summing to 10. So they're sprinkled around the grid, look. So if that square was a 4, this square would then have to be a 6 to ensure that the domino added to 10. Cells separated by a V contain digits summing to 5. So those there would have to be something like 1, 4, that would work, or 2, 3. And what else? Let me delete that. Not all possible dots or XV clues are necessarily given. So what that is saying is that it is absolutely possible, for example, let's look at this domino and hone in on it. This domino here could contain consecutive digits. It could contain digits in a ratio of 1 to 2. It could contain digits that sum to 5 or digits that sum to 10. Just because there is no XV or white or black dot sort of separating these two cells does not mean that they can't add up to those things. So it's an absence of a negative constraint is sometimes how we describe that. And that's all the rules. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video. So give yourselves a treat. Codex puzzles are always wonderful. And with that, I get to play. Let's get cracking. And our first challenge is going to be to see where there is weakness in the setup here. So where is there some... Looks like there's a lot of clues in rows 3 and rows 4. Is there anything else going on here? There really isn't much, I have to be honest. My gut feeling, and this will probably be proved to be wrong, but my gut feeling is this must be about parity. Because where you get a very sparse sort of XV crop key type thing, yeah, it is interesting. I'm wondering whether we can do something in these rows with odds and even digits. Because a V clue, if we think about the nature of a V clue, the digits add up to 5. So this domino here will always contain an odd and an even digit, because 5 is odd. So it must be an odd plus an even. Now the interesting thing about a white crop key dot is that because the digits are consecutive, it also has the same sort of parity property as the V clue. So in these two rows, I think is where it might be interesting. We've got one of each, 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 one of each. And that is enough for me to know those two squares are odd. So that's surely interesting for this black dot. So let's just do this slowly again. So because each domino separated by a V or a white dot contains an odd and an even digit, what I want to do is to count the even digits that we can sort of hypothecate to dominoes in rows 3 and 4. So in that domino, there's definitely one even digit. One even digit, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now let's ask the question, how many even digits are we anticipating there being in this row of the Sudoku? Well, it's a whole row of the Sudoku, so it's going to be 2, 4, 6, and 8. That's 4 even digits. And there's going to be 4 even digits in row 4 as well. That's 8, and we know that those 8 have to be entirely contained within those two rectangles, which means these two squares are odd, and I meant to use orange for odd, so I don't need no excuse to do that. Now, that means this square, yeah, the black crop key dot must be a consideration now, because if you're going to put an odd number on a black crop key dot, you have to be using 1 or 3, because 5, 7, and 9 have no integer solutions that's going to work. If you put 5 in here, you've got to put 2.5 or 10 in there, and that won't work. 7 needs 3.5 or 14, 9 needs 4.5 or 18, all nonsense. So this square, does that change the parity? It does, yes, okay. So if this is a 1, that's got to be a 2. If this is a 3, that's got to be a 6. So that square is even. I'm going to label even blue. So this square is odd because it is consecutive with an even number. Now, what does that mean? I'm now thinking about this in row 4. I can see there's 4 low digits there. Yeah, okay. Ah, there's a sort of missing V. This is the case of the missing V, I think, because these 4 squares have to be the digits 1, 2, 3, and 4, because each individually has to be less than 5, because they're all on V dominoes, apart from this one, which we've already identified is lower than a 5. So these 4 cells here are the digits 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to label them up, but I think we can do better than that, because this one must be even. And we know this must be even because if those two add up to 5, then these two must also add up to 5, because altogether these are the digits 1, 2, 3, and 4, which add up to 10. So this is a V, and this is a V which has lost its V, and therefore if that's odd, that must be even to ensure the total adds up to an odd number. That was a very long-winded way of saying that. So that gets awarded blue status, which means that gets awarded orange status. And because there's a missing V in this domino, and there's an actual V in that domino, those two digits are actually the same, aren't they? And the other way of doing that would have been to do simple maths on the V. I really do. My head goes round in the most extraordinary ways sometimes. Apologies. Now, those two are the same, which means they appear down there. Although there's no clues down there to actually help us to know which of those is a 1 or a 3. don't know if we can determine the parity of this domino. I'm not seeing how to do that. Oh dear, I'm going to grind to a ground. I think I've ground to a halt, haven't I? Do we know anything about... Oh, where does 5 go in column 5? That's not a silly question. You can't put a 5 on an X domino, because it would have to have another 5. Oh no, it can go in there. Bother. I almost thought I was going to be able to place a 5 in this cell. You can never put a 5 on a black Kropki dot, and you can't put 5 in an X clue. But 5 looks like it can escape in that cell as well. So 5 is in one of 2 positions in column 5. Okay. Right, okay. Let's, instead of that, let's refocus on the X clues. Why do we want to do that? Well, let's think about the nature of an X clue now. So each digit, each domino here adds up to 10. Now that does have an interesting parity property, because if you think about the low digit there, whether it's 1, 2, 3 or 4, it always gets paired with a digit of the same parity. So if we got a 1 on this domino, it's going to be a 1 with a 9, both odd. It's a 2, it's going to be 2 with an 8, etc., because it's adding up to an even number. So that means that each of these dominoes individually contributes 2 to the odd or even count in the column, but we've already got 2 odd digits here. So it's not possible that both of those are odd. And it's not possible that both of these are even, because that would mean there would be 5 even digits in the column. So exactly one of these dominoes is odd, and exactly one of them is even. Bother, that does nothing, I don't think. All that does is mean that this domino has shared parity. So one of these 2 clues is odd, and one of these 2 clues is even. I'm going to notate that in a strange way, just because that feels like a deduction that's worth recording. So maybe... Can I use the black dot to determine the parity of this clue? That's the question I'm asking now. I don't think so. Now, if that is... I've also got the V clue here, actually. Maybe that is not such a bad idea. Hang on. If this is odd, do we get a problem? You certainly have a problem with 1 here. This can't be a 1, and the reason it can't be a 1 is that that square would be a 2, and there would be no fill for the V clue, which is either 1, 4 or 2, 3. So if this is odd, it has to be 3, and that would have to be 6, which is not... Right, no, this is okay. This is broken. When I say okay, I mean absolutely broken. It's broken because of column 5, look. If you put a 3 here, you have to put a 6 here. And that has to be, the other black dot has to be a 1-2 pair. And now that 10 clue's got no ability to be filled. It sees 1, 2 and 3 and 6. So it can't be 4, 6, 1, 9, 2, 8 or 3, 7. So this is lovely actually, because that's going to allow me to disambiguate the parity of these clues. So this is even, and therefore it gets awarded blue status, whereas that one is odd and that retains orange status. Now if that's even, right, 2 looks problematic. 2 looks problematic because of the V clue again. If that's a 2, this is a 1, which 1, 2 doesn't work for the V clue, or a 4, and 4 doesn't work. Well, if this is 2 and 4, you still can't make the V clue work because you've ruled out both options both times. So that is not a 2. This is a 4, 6 or an 8. It's symmetrical. The logic is the same. If you go 6 here, instead of it being 3 and 6 there, it's just 6 and 3 there. But you have exactly the same problem above that we had before. That's really weird. And it's making me question myself. But it is true, isn't it? With the 6 here, this becomes a 1-2 pair. And now this still has no fill. because again it sees 1, 2, 3 and 6, whereas if it was the other way round, that becomes a 1 and that becomes 2, and it's exactly the same logic. So there is a weird interaction between two black crop key dots here and this X clue, which basically means that this square has to be a 4 or an 8, which means that square... Now I'm going to run the logic in reverse. If that's a 4 and that's a 2, that V is still broken. So if this is a 4, this is an 8. If this is an 8, this is a 4. So that's a 4-8 pair, and that gets awarded blue status. Now this domino can't be even anymore, can it? Because it can't be 4-6 or 2-8. And we know one of these is even, so it must be that one, I think, which means this one is odd. I'm just noticing I haven't got a digit yet, but it's just so beautiful. This is the thing about Codex puzzles. The logic is always so precise. It's exquisite. Now, 4-8 here, so that's got to be 2, 3 now. So 2, 3 and 4 have now gone in the row. So that X clue's got to be 1, 9. That's the only way that will work, and that's got to be orange. This square's a 2, oopsie, this square's a 2 or an 8 is what I was about to say, because it's consecutive with an odd number. So that gets awarded even status. Oh, okay, and then I'm stuck. Maybe the gaps in row 7 are 5, 6 and 7. Which doesn't seem to do anything. Can't put a 1 on this crop key dot because it would need a 2, and 2's not available. Wow, okay. Now I really am stuck. Apologies. I'm not seeing at all what I meant to do next. I'm not even sure. Normally I have an inkling for where a weakness is. Here I have no such inkling. The only weakness is right there. That's where the weakness is. Come on, weakness, go away. Can we resolve this, is what I'm now wondering. Is there a way that this somehow breaks? So if this is a 2, that's a 3, that's a 3, 3 goes down here. So the orange 1, 3 down there doesn't affect this, I don't think. So 2, 3, 6. Four, 1, 2. Oh, that's it. Right, got it. Okay. 4, 4 here doesn't work. And the reason is very simple. If that's a 4, that's a 4, and that's a 2. So if that's a 4 and a 2, how are we ever going to fill that domino? This domino is either 2, 8 or 4, 6. So there can't be a 2 and a 4 in the column, or that thing would be impossible. So that, right, so that is 2, which means this is 3. Because these add up to 5. This is 3, because these add up to 5. This is 6, because this is a black domino. Now this is now not 4, 6, so this is 2, 8, which means that's 8, and that's 4 in the column. This square here is 5 or 7. This domino is now not 3, 7, so that's 1, 9. And the gaps in this column are 5 and 7. So there's a 5, 7 pair now in box 5. And we've got okay, we've got a 2, 3 pair here. So this V is now known to be a 1, 4 pair. That's locking 1s into the same 2 columns of the grid in boxes 4 and 7. That's quite interesting. If we think about where 1 goes in column 3 now, it can't go here, and it can't go here, and it can't actually go there because of the white crop key dot, because that would be a 2, which would clash. So 1 is there. Now, can we rule... Yes, okay. Now I can rule 1 out of there in box 2, and by exactly the same logic. If this was 1, this would be 2, and it can't be. And that means 1 in row 3 is going to be in one of... Oh, this is lovely. This is lovely. Right, so let's look at where 1 goes now in row 3 of the grid, and the answer is in one of those 3 squares. Well, it can't go here again. It still can't go here because of this 2 sitting in row 4, column 4. So it's on a white crop key dot, and that means that's a 1-2 pair. That means 2s are now aligning in column 7 and 8, which means 2 in this column has to be in one of those 2 squares. Yeah, I can place it, because this is really cool. 2 can't go here, because it can't be consecutive with 5, 6, or 7. So 2 must go there, and therefore 2 must go in one of those 3 cells over on the other side, which makes me wonder about... Well, what it's actually made me wonder about is that 6. Although I could have done this before. Look, if this 6, where does that 6 go in box 4? It can't go there, it can't go there, and it can't actually go on the X anymore, because if it went on the X, it would need a 4 with it, and the 4 is gone. So the 6 is in one of 2 places in the column, or 2 places in the box and 2 places in the column. So that's not a 6 now. Okay, now what? Where do we go now? Have we got a better feel for the weaknesses? That's the question. And the answer might unfortunately be no. How long have I had? 22 minutes. That has flown by. I feel like I've been doing this for 5 minutes. Honestly, sometimes I do wonder whether when I'm going to edit the video, am I just going to see that I fell asleep for like 15 minutes and did nothing? How can it be 22 minutes into this video? Right, let's have a look at this row perhaps, because I can see that there's a lot of activity with white dots along there. We've got to place 5, 6, 7, 8. Ah, okay, that square's restricted, I've just noticed. Right, look, if we look at this row, we've got 1, 2, 3 and 4 approximately placed. So these outline cells have to contain 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Well, this square actually sees 5, 6 and 7 from the box, so that's only got the ability to be 8 or 9, and that is on a crop key dot. Yeah, okay, so that's got to be 7, 8 or 9 just to be consecutive with this digit, but it can't actually be 8. So this one gets reduced to the paltry status of being an odd number. Once it's an odd number, what does it have to accompany on a crop key dot? It's got to be an even number, so this can no longer be 9, that must be 8. So the remainder of box 5 has got to be 1, 4 and 9 to complete the box. And that means that what does that mean? Has that done something useful, is the question. The answer might unfortunately be, it might actually be no. 2, oh good grief, right. Where did 2 and 3 go in box 8? I think the answer is into those squares only, so that's a 2, 3 pair. So this must be 5, 6 or 7. To complete the box. That's created a this might be interesting. I've got a 5, 6, 7 triple in column 4 now, and that this square can't be a 6, so there must be a 6 in this domino, which means this square can't be a 6, which means where do we put the 6 now in row 7? Only there, which means this square is 5 or 7, which collides with this square. So now Now the question I'm asking is, where does 6 go in row 6? Is that a silly question, or is that a very good question? I think that's a good question, actually. Yeah, I think it's a good question, because 6 can't go on this domino anymore. Oh no, it can. What am I talking about? Oh no, it can't. No, because we've got a 5-7 pair. Yeah, you can't. You can't put 6 on this domino because 5 and 7 can't go with it. So those 6 squares can't be 6. That can't be 6 because of the 1-4 pair. So 6 goes here, I think, which means that square is not 6 anymore. There's no white Kropki dot joining it to that one. Not that there has to be, of course. The 2 is now on this X, so that's got to be 2, 8. That creates a 2-8 pair in that column. All of those 3 squares are now even digits. This Kropki dot needs an odd digit. Sorry, it needs an even digit, obviously, and an odd digit. Now, if it can't have those even digits, it must have a 4 on it. And that 4 must go with a 3, because it can't go with a 5 because of this pair. So this is a 3-4 pair. Where does the 4 go in the central box? There, exactly. And that must be a 1-9 pair. It's absolutely beautiful and ridiculously clever. Now, 1 in this box I can now see is in one of those 2 squares, which is actually, now I'm going to ask where 1 goes in this column, and it's got to be in one of those squares. 3, this is a 3-4 pair and a 2-3 pair underneath, so 3 again can be, we can keep asking these questions. Where does 3 go in column 9? Answer in that top domino there. 3, 7. That might be possible. Okay. I feel like I should be able to do more here now. Well, I can see one thing, which is this cell. Whatever that cell is, has to go there, because you can't put 5 and 7 into any of the other digits in the box. So whatever goes here is obviously ruled out of those 3 squares, can't go in the remainder of the box apart from this square. So this square is odd, and it's 5 or 7. Now that's consecutive with that digit, which is now 4, 6, or 8. It's not 6. It's not 6, so this is 4 or 8. I mean, that feels like I must be able to do that, but I can't see how to do it. Oh, right, I see what I can do now. Where does 9 go in row 4? I've not put 9 in. I can't put 9 on that Kropki dot because it'll have to go with 8, which is already appearing in the row. So 9, I think, can only go there, where it still gets awarded a Kropki dot, just a vertical one. So this square is an 8. That does fix that as a 4, which means that's a 5. Now that works its way back in there through the logic we were just talking about those digits being the same. That's now a 7. This is a 5. These 2 squares are now, I was going to say they're known, but they're not known at all. They've got to have a 6 on them. So 6 is the even digit, and 6 can't go with 5, so 6 must go with 7. So this is a 6-7 pair, and that must be a 9, I think, which means that's a 9 and that's a 1. This 5 means that's a 5, so this becomes a 6-7 pair. Let's tidy up the pencil marks. 2, 3. So the top of this column. Oh, I was wondering about that one pencil mark. I've got a horrible feeling I've made a mistake, but actually, look, I've actually pencil marked the 1 into 4 places in this box, somewhat overzealously. So this is a 6-7 pair. That's got to be a 1-4 pair. Okay, and these squares are known. They're 3, 7, and 9 to complete this box. Now those cells now must be known. They've got to be 1 and 8. And these two squares are known to be, oh I see, I can get that digit, that's been available for a while. This 5 is giving me that digit as well, so that's not 7. These squares over here, we've actually got quite a lot of tidying up to do here. This is a 6-7 pair, I think. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, that's got one of everything. That's always good. And absent all the Sudoku I've no doubt missed at this point, we've got very few clues left to use. Let's just think about that for a second. We've got this X clue, this clue here, which we can now at least think about what its options are. This clue here is either 5 or 8, because it can't be 6 or 7. Okay, this clue as well we've not used. This is a consecutive digit, it's not got a 1, 2, 3, it could be 4, 5. If it's not 4, 5, it has to have an 8 on it. And in fact, whatever this is going to be useful in terms of the dominoes above it. So, okay. I'm a bit stuck. What are the options for this domino? Maybe that's where we start. In fact, maybe I look at this column. This column needs 1, 3, 4 and 7. So those squares are 3s, 4s and 7s. That's not looking terribly helpful, is it? So that square is 3, 7 or 6. But it's not 3, because we know the 3's over here. So that's not 3. So that's not 7. So this is either 3, 7 or 4. Oh, no. I have got a 6, 7 pair now in row 1. And I've got a 6, 7 pair in row 3. Okay, and it sounds like Maverick's doing his daily fly past. Hello, Maverick. Okay, bother. Now, I can also hear there's a trampoline war about to start, so forgive me if that kicks off now, and you get to witness what will no doubt be a very epic battle. I'm stuck. How do we make further progress here? What do we need to do? Is it Sudoku? When in doubt, we've almost got a sort of weird grid-like pattern in the grid, haven't we? If I could get that column, we could sort of have the inner 5 by 5 filled. 5, 6. So, right, if in doubt, think about Sudoku, Simon. That would be sensible. I've got a 4, 5, 6 in column 3. Where do they go down there? The answer is only in those 3 cells. So that's a 4, 5, 6 triple out of nowhere, which doesn't seem to do very much, actually. Those squares now have got to be 2, 3 and 8, which means there's a 3 in one of those 2 squares. Oh, well that gives me that digit. Okay, getting us on our way to our 5 by 5, or further on our way. 9 comes out of there, so this is now 3 and 7. 2, 3. Every little deduction is being hard earned now. So what are those squares? I think this is what we're reduced to. These squares up here are 1, 2, 3 or 8. And we know they're not 3. So they're 1, 2 or 8. That's no use, is it? I don't think. I mean, I've really not used this digit at all yet. Ah, right. If in doubt, go with your gut instinct. How could this be a 5? The answer is it can't be, can it? Because if it's a 5, well, let's show you. If that's a 5, this is a 6. And now those squares have to both be 4, which is impossible. So that's not a 5 here. That's got to be an 8. Oh, not a yellow, an 8. Now that's nice. Okay, now we might be kicking off again. So now we get an 8 here, and a 2 here, and a 2 here, and a 1 here. And a 7 here, because it's got to be consecutive, which means that's a 6. 7, 3. Keep going. Oh, it's not going to, is it? I don't believe it. This 8's given me an 8 and a 2, actually. So that means that square... Ah, yeah, okay. So that square becomes a 2, and that square, therefore, must be a 1 to be consecutive, which gives us the 9. The 1, that's a 1, that's a 4. 4, 6 here means that's a 5. 2 means this is a 2 down here. This is a 3. Now that's a 3. It's the only place a 3 can go. That's an 8. It's the only place the 8 can go. 8 lives in one of these two squares. And let's have a look at column... in fact, we should be able to get that digit just to complete column 2. That's a 5. Now that means those two squares are 3 and 9. Well, let's do the 1 and the 4 first then. So that's a 3, 9 pair. We've got a 6, 7 still here, look. So this square has got to be 3, 4 or 9 only. And we know it's not 3 because the 3 is definitely in one of those two squares because of some logic we did in column 9. So that's 4. It's still not resolved. It is still not resolved. Bother. I've got a 6, 7 pair in this column as well. I don't know if I've noticed that before. I don't feel like I have. 7. Oh, here's a nice trick. Here is a nice trick. Right, is that a 7? The answer is no, because if that's a 7, this is a 6 and this is a 4 because of the X. But that means I've not put a 3 in this domino, and we know one of those is a 3, so that's definitely not a 7. Let's just do that again. 7, 6, 4. Well, I've not managed to put a 3 in the domino. So this is not 7, and that gives me a 3, 4 pair up there, which gives me this digit. That's now a 9, which gives me a 9 and a 3, which gives me the 3 and the 4, which forces a 6, 6, 7. Now, this 6 is giving me a 6, that's giving me a 7. 7 in this box must go here, and that means 5 must go here. And so far, it's looking like it's behaving itself, isn't it? Now, there's got to be a... now look, 5, 5. That's the only place for a 5 now in box thingy, box 9, and that can't be a 6, so that's got to be a 4. That places the 8. Places the 4, the 3, the 3, the 2, the 2, the 1, the 1, the 8. And the 4 and the 6, and the 6 and the 7 don't leave me with a deadly pattern. No, it's not going to, I don't think. Look, there's a 9 still to be placed here, so that's useful. 9, 9, 1, and that can be a 7. And that looks like we have done it. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. That's taken me 38 minutes, 38 minutes of joy. That's what you get from cracking the cryptic and codec. It's very, very intricate stuff, isn't it? There's like a whole cauldron full of ideas. I don't really know where to start. I mean, the start, I think, was fairly telegraphed because it was the densest patch of clues, but it's a lovely idea to force parity to take charge of this domino. And then there were all sorts of interactions going on between sort of these dominoes, and I'm pretty sure I didn't understand them all. Well, I understood them all, but there may have been a more elegant way of me demonstrating how to get all of this column's parity sorted out. But once you get this column's parity, there are still lots and lots of tricks that we had to find. This box was interesting. Yeah, the 6 was interesting, wasn't it? Somehow I got a 6 here, and that put a 2, 8 on that X. And I loved the idea that these dots coming across between sort of rows 3 and 4 kept preventing us from putting digits into these. I can't remember which squares it was, but this 2 seemed to do an awful lot of work ruling out 1s, I think it was, in certain positions. Was that what I think I said? I do remember this 2 kept doing things, and I'm sure it must have been relating to those digits. Oh yeah, I think it was, because that's what got us a 1-2 pair here in this domino. So anyway, as usual, lost in admiration for a great man and a great setup. I hope you enjoyed it too. Let me know in the comments. I do enjoy them, and I hope I'll see some of you later for the witness. Bye for now.